So in the last tutorial I showed you guys how to set up a Navmesh system so that our enemies can walk in up and down the surface. Something I forgot to point out was that how to sort of edit this Navmesh. Notice how mine fits pretty well, but it has a bit of a padding here. So something we can do to fix that is when we go to our bake options, you can see there's radius, there's height. The shorter the radius, the smaller the padding will be. So if, say I go 0.1 instead of 0.5, and the height is how high it is off the floor. So say we do height 1. I clear this out, and I rebake it. You can see that it's baking it here. We get a much tighter area around these areas, and it's a lot closer to the ground. So let's go ahead. I have a scripts folder set up. If you don't have one, go ahead and create it. And go into enemy, and I'm going to right click and create a C# script here. And I'm just going to call this, we'll just call it enemy nav. So this script will control all the navigation for this enemy. So on this particular construction bot, I'm just going to, in the inspector, underneath my Navmesh agent, I'm just going to drop my enemy nav script here. And I'm going to edit that script. Alright, so let's go ahead and create two variables, one public, one private. And one's a game object. And let's call this agent. How about, well, you know what, we'll do the destination one first. So this game object is just called dist, and I'm going to set it to null, which just means empty game object. And then we'll create a private one. If you didn't guess that dest stands for destination, so this is probably going to be like, this is going to be our main character, maybe Leo or whatever, so that they go to follow him. On a non-playable character that's not an enemy, you'd probably just have it be a series of waypoints or whatever you'd like. Or you could just have them traverse the Navmesh. And then we'll create another private one. This private variable is going to reference the actual Navmesh agent component that that was attached to our enemy robot. So on this guy, we have to actually create a variable that's storing a reference to this Navmesh agent here. That's actually pretty easy to do. You actually just write Navmesh agent. Now, if I actually put a dot behind here, you could see all the different properties that come from Navmesh agent, which is cool. So if you're ever like, you want to learn more about how to program the Navmesh agent to do different things, that's one way of, just kind of look at them and then do the search the Unity reference. So, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to call it agent here, and I'm going to make this equal to null as well, because I'm going to use it in my start code. Now, let me go ahead and comment this. This is a reference to the Navmesh agent. And this is a reference to the destination object. Okay, so we've got that typed out, so we can remember what those do. Because later you might look at it and be like, why did we type that out? Alright, so let's go ahead and start coding up some of this stuff in the function format. Alright, so let's get our Navmesh agent. That's the first thing we want to do. So we say agent equals get component. Now remember, get component, the setup looks like this. Okay, so agent equals, and then we just plug in Navmesh agent here. So now agent is actually storing the Navmesh agent. Now remember, this script that I'm in, enemy Navmesh agent, is actually attached to that object. So if I just write agent equals get component Navmesh agent, I'm actually getting it from the actual component the script is attached to. So now we can actually use this. And once we do it like that, the way to check if it really worked, like we did get that component, if I type in agent here and I put a dot behind it, you'll notice we can actually do agent.animation. And remember, we made this, we can access any Navmesh agent by doing that. So what I want to do is actually look for destination, is it? Yeah, destination. So agent.destination, this is kind of interesting, equals destination dot transform dot position. Now we've used transform dot position in the past. So what we're saying here is, remember, this is a public game object that we created. So I'm going to drag a character onto this maybe, or I might even just hard code it. But what we're saying here is we're getting the Navmesh agent component. Now the Navmesh agent component, remember, is a character controller. See how it has speed and all this other stuff? So this can be used to move our character around. So when we say agent equals get component Navmesh agent agent.destination, that means we can actually move our character to the current position of whatever is in this destination variable. Okay, so the last thing we want to do is this. By just having it initiate on start here, it'll move our character a little bit, then stop. We want it to run every single frame. So what we're going to do is just dump a copy of this into the update function, and I'm going to hit Control S. Alright, let's take a look at this script on our actual character. You can see here it says destination none game object. So I'm just going to go here, grab my Leo character, wherever he's at. Here he is, Leo 1. You can see that's him. So I'll click on my robot down here. I'm going to left click and hold my Leo 1 character and see what happens. And drop him in here. Now if I press play, let's see what happens. You can see it creates a direct link along the Navmesh system. Now if I had my character, the Leo scripts hooked up, I can run and he'll continue to follow him, which is kind of neat. So you're going to see him walk up and then land right on top of him. So I'm going to test this out here. I unchecked maximize on play, and what I'm going to do here is just kind of move my character, my Leo character, over here. And what you'll notice is my Navmesh character changes direction, and as my character gets down to close to the Navmesh, he follows him. I really should hook up these scripts. Now if he hides over here, you can see my Navmesh agent he's continuing to follow that ground plane. But if I come out here, he knows to follow him. It's just a really neat way of setting that up. What gets even more exciting is when you actually see the animations hooked up. That's why I kind of wanted to use this predetermined file. Okay, so let's take a look. While I have a few minutes left in this tutorial, let's push this Navmesh and the code a little bit more. The video is getting close to 10 minutes. We'll take a look at adding some more functionality in the next video.